Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Pokemon League Show. We are here, it is week number 9. I'm your host, Matt Starr. We are here at the penultimate week of Season 2. Penultimate. Is anyone who is here remember when we were at the penultimate week of Season 1? How long ago that feels? It's crazy that we're over halfway through the year and that feels like so long ago. I feel like I mentioned this last week, but it's still crazy to me that we're coming into the end of Season 2. Gonna be going into Season 3 pretty soon. But we've got Season 10. We've got Week 9, Week 10, and of course playoffs to come yet. But before all that, we've got a few important things to decide and a few important fixtures to look at for Week number 9. But first, let's take a quick look at the league tables as we move forward into Week number 9. So, still at the summit of the East Division, it is in glorious surface, but that gap has got smaller and smaller and smaller. It is now 6-2 that Aaron stands on. He keeps that 6-2 record after beating out Shadow Kings last week. Celtic Celebes just following close behind there in second place, also on the 6-2 record. So it's getting very close with comfort for Aaron there. And that East Division regular season winners title is very much under threat by Draco, but we'll see if he can keep a hold of that or lose it this week. In third place, Crizzle South Croydon Saws on a little bit of sort of renaissance after that defeat to Dave the other week on a 5-3 record. Still in with a shout of winning the whole thing of the East Division, can still grab that regular season title. And of course in fourth place in our final playoffs position, towards Star Belgrade on that 4-4 record, losing out to the aforementioned South Croydon Saws last week, and it was a pretty one and done sort of game, unfortunately for Wheel, but he'll hopefully be looking to bounce back this week for sure. And down there in the bottom two places, Newcastle Thunderous and Dogsy's Shadow Kings already out of contention for playoffs, unfortunately. So we will see them again back for Season 3 to have another crack at playoffs, but these two still have 2 fixtures left to play. It's all about playing for pride and playing for position. No one wants to finish in last place, and we'll see which one it's going to be. Over in the West Division then, Miami Heat. We say this every week. It continues the 100% record on an 8-0 and now crowned as our regular season champions for the West Division. No more than that's deserved. He has been absolutely on one this season. You know, if you thought Season 1 Latvian was one thing, Season 2 Latvian is just on a whole nother level. This guy has got all of the Infinity Stones and it's just wrecking house. It is basically just the plot of Infinity War, the West Division. Bulu boys, on that 6-game winning streak. Is that about to come to an end this week with 2 weeks left to go? We will certainly see, but already qualified for playoffs, already concrete set in for second place. So now it's just a case of Matt's Bulu boys, myself, finding out who they're going to be playing in the first round of playoffs. In third place, joint on a 3-5 record with Oma's California Bastiodons is 200 candies, getting that win over the Long Island Goomys last week. Meaning that Long Island Goomys and the Sceptiles, Jabber and Silly, both have must-win games this week if they still want to make playoffs. There is still a chance, both on a 2-6 record, but they're going to need to win their games this week to stand any kind of chance of making it in. Looking at the schedule then for this week, up there at the top there you can see Torstal Belgrade versus Inglorious Surface. So we is going to be looking to try and bounce back from that defeat to Crizzle last week. A very humbling defeat, may I add. The first time that the Gigas Wheezing duo has been toppled, and toppled it was, taking on Aaron the Inglorious Surface. Last time these two played, it was back in week 5, and Aaron completing the victory over Wheel with a 2-0 win. Second up, we have got the Newcastle Thunderers versus Shadow Kings. The battle of the bottom. If the Newcastle win, they guarantee themselves 5th place, and I think that's a pretty solid way to end out the season. If Dogsy wins, he can still take that 5th place spot. It'll come down to the final week. And finally in the East Division, we have got the Celtic Celebes versus South Croydon Saws. It is 2nd versus 3rd. Last time Celtic Celebes played South Croydon Saws was 6 games ago. South Croydon Saws the last team to beat Draco's team, so who knows what will happen there. And over in the West Division then, our first game there, it is Bulu boys versus Miami Heat. Same as Celtic Celebes versus South Croydon Saws, Miami Heat Lat was the last team to take a match win over the Bulu boys. So what's going to happen there? You've got 2 unbeaten streaks and 100% record. Something's got to give. We'll certainly see which one it is. Long Island Goomys versus California Bastiodons. As we just mentioned, Goomys need the win over Oma. The Bastions here are the same as Oma needs the win over Goomys. And finally, rounding out the show, we have got 200 candies taking on Slithering Sceptiles. As we said, Jabba, Sceptiles, he really needs the win, and Candies as well. Looks like Omer needs that victory as well to make sure it doesn't come down to the final week to decide our final 2 playoff spots in the West Division. But without further ado, let's take a look at our first team. It is Torstar Belgrade taking on the Inglorious Surfers. So these two have got a bit of a head-to-head record of 2-1, played each other a couple of times from Season 1. And of course, as we said earlier, Aaron took the Week 5 game in a 2-0 fashion. It was pretty much just one-way traffic with the Kingdra and the Galar Moltres last time these two teams played. So we will certainly be keeping an eye on that. It's very much a sort of common duo for Aaron, but he has been shaking it up in previous weeks. I wonder if he's been listening to me calling it a common duo. We've seen a couple of different things. We've seen the Mammoth Swine be really, really strong for the Surfers, and of course that Gardevoir and Mian Chao as well sitting there as really strong support Pokemon. Don't count out that Regiseed as well. Once it gets a few Amnesias and Iron Defenses set up, that thing can be an absolute tank. And of course Kingdra and Galar Moltres. You know, we've said that Kingdra comes quite a few times, but that's not to say that, you know, he won't bring it. It's a strong Pokemon. It's got the most kills in his team for a reason. So never say no to the Kingdra. Over on the side of Wio, of course, that Gigas Weezing duo is always going to be a threat. Of course, he's able to take care of the Galar Weezing. You can really put a stop to that Regigigas. It's all about just trying to find a way to stop that duo. If you don't have something that can take care of it, then as Dave and Dogsy found out in previous weeks, it does not end well for you. Of course, as well, we've also got that G-Max in Lapras, and the Zapdos as well has a way to proc a weakness policy with that Lapras, as we saw back in week 7 versus Dogsy. You know, it's got that discharge move. Jellicent as well and Serena have both been pretty strong Pokemon for Torstar Belgrade, and the one with the most kills on his team, Drapion as well. You know, only with a one type weakness, so it's pretty hard to stop. And if you know, it has got that sniper ability, if you stick a scope lens on there, it is going to hit real hard. And of course, down at the bottom, the Dancer Man, tiny little dancer, Mr. Mind Galar, the Salamence Killer, as so named, can be quite a hard hitter as well. Togetic as well with the Follow Me potential as well could be big against Aaron's Inglorious Surfers. So we will certainly see. But without further ado, let's get straight into our first game of week number 9. It is Inglorious Surfers taking on Torstar Belgrade, and of course Hop starting out with that Gigas and Weezing duo as expected, and Aaron starting out with the Dracloak and the Thunderous. So no Kingdra in the team of 6 for Aaron at all there, but the Gigas and Weezing, and of course he's got the Lapras, he has got the Sabrina, Drapion, and I think that is the Obstagoon hiding behind there as well. So some strong ones, some very offensive ones there for Wheel's team, Mr. Hop's team. Dracloak, you would expect to be going for those breaking swipes, try and just sort of beat down that Gigas' attack. And I think you could see Thunderous maybe go for a max steel spike. Yeah, I would be expecting it, unless he's going to try and get some sort of support set up and it'd be pranks to Thunderous. I'd expect it to be Defiant Thunderous, and Thunderous does go for the Dynamax, and of course Regigigas goes for its Dynamax as well. Protect comes out from the Galar Weezing, and Steel Spike, as expected, into that Weezing, so gets his defenses up, and already that means Gigas has got to drop to down. The Will-O-Wisp, it comes out from the Dracloak, and that's going to really hit where it has in the Gigas. Last week, we are not able to get the Will-O-Wisps off against Chris, and the first turn, Aaron gets the Will-O-Wisp with the Dracloak, and already that's not a great start for the Hop. Defenses are up for Thunderous and Dracloak, and that Regigigas' attack is already, it's now half from that burn, so got a hell of a job to do. Ally Switch comes out from the Dracloak, there's the Steel Spike, that takes out the Galar Weezing, that is going to proc the slow start, so that attack and speed both halved for the Gigas, and Max Hailstorm just doing nothing to the Dracloak, and this is an awful start for the Hop. That's got it all to do is in comes the Lapras, obviously not going to be going for that G-Max, Gigas already going for his Dynamax, but Thunderous just putting in the work. There's the Max Lightning, that's going to just all-core the Lapras, not even standing a chance to straight getting a kill. There's U-Time from the Dracloak, getting itself out of there, able to switch in something else to finish out the job. As in comes Mian Chao now, you know, with that fake out pressure, that's the Max Hailstorm. It's just doing absolutely nothing with the burn, the slow start, Aaron just completely nullified that Regigigas as the Dynamax's do, and in comes the Drapion then named Obstagoon, just to confuse me. Thank you, Mr. Hop. I guarantee I will call that thing Obstagoon if you has, but Mian Chao, as we said, on the field now, and Drapion as well. Can Drapion save the day? Is the 2v4 possible? It's a hell of a job to come back from. Gigas is completely just, stumped at this point unless he can stall it out until slow start ends. But there's the protect from the Gigas. Fake out goes into the Drapion, and there is the Thunder Punch into Obstagoon. Obviously, the flinch comes out onto... See, I knew I called it Obstagoon into the Drapion. So Drapion nullified there. Maybe you've got the Protector on there. Thunder Punch into Drapion, takes it out, and that is Gigas. The close combat has got the Chocolate Berry. It's going to keep it alive for a bit longer. Is the burn going to do enough? There's the Ice Punch. Doesn't take out the Thunderous. That 2 times defense from the Steel Spikes really coming in clutch. And that Gigas is done. There's the Thunder Punch. Thunderous takes it out. It is a 4-0. An awful start for Rio, but can he bring it back in this game number 2? What a start for Aaron though. Great stuff there as he starts out with the Gigas and the Weezing again, and it is the same duo on the side of Aaron as well, so, you know, same as game 1. We've got a rinse and repeat as Rio got something else up his sleeve to try and, do something. He knows pretty much what's coming now. He knows there's a Will-O-Wisp or a Breaking Strike coming from that Dracula, and he knows that the Thundy's going to go for this Steel Spike, and he knows the Thundy's faster as well, so important information if nothing else for Rio, but not a great start. Aaron definitely has, the other cards he wants in this game of 3D chess. All these cards in game of chess. Are you okay, Matthew? And the Giga swaps out. In comes the Serena. So a nice switch out there. The Steel Spike into the Galahweezing doesn't quite take it out. There's the Will-O-Wisp into the Serena, but that's a physical attacking in Serena, and Strange Steam into the Thundy. That's just not really doing anything. It's not even tickling the Thunderous. And that burn is still going to be quite problematic for that Serena, but I think Mr. Hopper's going to be trying to just stall out that Dynamax and Thunderous so that he can get the Gigas back in later on. However, if he's not able to keep that Galahweezing alive, then could be in for some troubles here. Don't know that the Serena is going to live what you'd expect. It'll normally be the move Fly, but it'll be a max airstream from that Thunderous. I don't know that Serena would live that unless he's got the Berry on there. And the Weezing Galad does swap out there as the Drapion coming in. Airstream into the Drapion, that takes it down to 36% HP. There's the U-turn from the Dracloak, that's super effective, but not really doing a whole lot to the Serena. And in comes the Guard of War. Does trace that ability from the Drapion. There's a triple axle. It's just from that burn. It's just not quite doing enough. Serena just trying to get some damage output. I think if the burn's not there, you can maybe get something going. But not enough. There's the max airstream into the Serena. That's going to take it out. That is the last time of Dynamax with Thunderous though, so there is an opportunity. There's the Dazzling Gleam at the Obstagoon. Guard of War just absolutely annihilating the Drapion. I called it Obstagoon again. I told you, man. God damn you, Rio. In comes the recognised duo of Gigas and Galahweezing though. Thunderous's Dynamax has ended, but he's got the speed buff and the 1.5 times defense. Gigas goes for its Dynamax. Protect comes out from the Galahweezing. There is the Fly from the Thunderous. That's not what Mr. Hopper would want to see, and the Hailstorm is going to miss. And that is 1 turn of Dynamax already wasted for that Gigas. And now, the Weezing is not going to take that Fly, and it doesn't. And Slow Start is going to proc that attack, and speed is halved again. Dazzling Gleam into the Gigas. It's not doing a whole lot. There's the Hailstorm into the Guard one. Maybe expecting, an ally switch or something, but not going to be doing quite enough. And this is not good. It has got to do the 1v4 here. There's a Thunder Punch into the Gigas, trying to maybe go for the Paras. Dazzling Gleam as well. There's the Hailstorm into the Guard one. So he does get 1 kill. And Gigas' Dynamax does now end. Mienshao swaps in. And I think this is it for Gigas. This is going to be a 2-0. Mienshao just needs to get a close combat off, and that Gigas is done. Protect comes out from the Gigas. There's a Thunder Punch, trying to keep it alive a little bit longer. I think even if you're waiting for the Slow Start to end, the speed on the Thunderous is going to be too much. And Mienshao as well is going to be outspeeding that thing too. So I think this is what we would call a hatchy-matchy, and this is going to be another match win for Aaron, and another match loss for Mr. Hop and his Gigas and Weezing duo. Does get the double protect off. Is the triple protect about to come out from the Gigas? It isn't. The protect fails. There's the Thunder Punch from Thunderous. Takes it out, and that is game, set, and match. Aaron takes the game 2-0. Great stuff from Aaron. Just able to just completely, nullify that threat of the Gigas Weezing. And I think now Crizzle has opened the floodgates last week on how to beat that Gigas Weezing. It's become very hard for Weo to work around that, and I do think it's one of the strongest duos on his team. So it's something he's always got to go for. But it's just unfortunate, that the Burns land both times for Aaron and missed both times last week. But that is the way the cookie crumbles. GG's to both coaches. That was a really fun game to watch. And I'm sure Mr. Hop will be back with a vengeance for the final week of regular season. And Aaron now 1 match win away from taking that East Division regular season title. So that is going to be very, very interesting to see. But up next, we've got the Battle of the Bottoms. It is 5th place versus 6th place. Newcastle Thunderers taking on Dogsy's Shadow Kings. These two have come together about 4 times now in the past 2 seasons, and they've shared out a record of 2-2. 2 wins for Dogsy, 2 wins for Newcastle Thunderers. Obviously, Dogsy's last win actually came against the Newcastle Thunderers all the way back in week 1. So, Dogsy could take some confidence from that coming into this game. And Dave has got those 2 wins to his name. So, I'm expecting Dave to be able to bounce back from that loss to Draco last week. And I said this is a chance just to sort of, end the season on, with a little bit of credibility. It's not been the best of season for these 2 coaches, but after all said and done, there's always next season. That is the way the Raff League goes. You can't count yourself out of it completely. Anyway, Dogsy Shadow Kings team. I've got a lot of moving parts in that team. You've obviously got the Lipard and Slowbro Galar duo that we like to see. We saw that a lot with Lat's Miami Heat team. Also got the Follow Me potential on that IDD and can set up the Psychic Terrain. Something Dave's got to watch out for sure. Dave, very renowned for trying the prankster moves in the Psychic Terrain. We all do it. I take the piss, but it happens. G-Max Blastoise as well. Blastoise in its own is such a strong Pokemon. Gets the water spout if you let that thing, if you're able to get a Spirit Death drop on your side or a special attack boost for that Blastoise, that water spouts are going to really hit hard and hard. And of course, something we haven't seen for a little while, but you saw earlier in the season is the Comfey and Salamence duo as well. Salamence does get Intimidate, and Moxie, can bring it in with the Intim. And start proccing a Weakness Policy, or if you can get a couple of kills, get those Moxie going, and that Salamence can become a big problem. And over on the Newcastle Thunderous, I think you're always going to see that Instant Lando T duo, the Intim rotation, has been super strong for Dave when it has worked. When it hasn't worked so well, it's been a bit of a problem, but it in the right hands, in Dave's capable hands, we know it can work. We saw how well it worked against Crizzle, so, do not count him out. Of course, you've got the G-Max Venusaur and the Ninetales sat there as well. The Sun duo have been super strong for Dave, and also has a Trick Room setting as well with that Copper Raja and Dust Noir. And of course, as I said last week, never count out this boy's Lantern. This boy and his Lantern, man and his dog, essentially. This man loves the Lantern, and it is so strong for him. I don't think anyone would ever expect Lantern to be good, but in this setting, it just seems to be super strong. So it's something Dogsy is going to have to watch out for. But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on. Let's get into our second game of the week. It is Shadow Kings taking on Newcastle Thunderers, and Dogsy kicking off things with Slowbro Galar and the Lipard. And Dave launching out with his Lantern, his beloved Lantern, and of course the Lando T, getting those Intims off. Just covering off in case that Slowbro Galar is running the physical setting. It is typically a special attacker, but we have seen Dogsy use it as a physical attacker. So something to keep an eye on. We would expect that Dogsy's either going to go for the fake out here or just straight up try and get Trick Room off, but it is, I would think that the Slowbro is probably going to be slower than most things on Dave's team. I don't know where the speed comes in against the likes of a Copper Raja if Dave has brought it, but it depends if it is in his team or foe. Quick Draw comes out from Dogsy. Lando T goes for his Dynamax, and Slowbro goes for its Dynamax as well. There is the fake out into the Lando T, but in the wrong slot. Obviously, Dogsy expecting that Lando T not to go straight away for his Dynamax, but does get the special attack boost from that Max Ooze. There is the Max Quake into the Slowbro. That Quick Draw really helped me out. And there's the Eerie Impulse from the Lantern, dropping that special attack down after the special attack boost. So a great turn there from Dave, just keeping that Slowbro in check and getting himself a special defense boost as well to boot. That Shuckerberry stopping the damage from that Max Quake in the Slowbro, hitting too hard. Interesting to know that, last week against Aaron, that Shuckerberry didn't work, and we still haven't been able to work out why. But anyway, Lantern goes for Protect, Slowbro Galar goes for its Max Guard, gets that Copycat. I think going to set up Trick Room. Max Flutterby comes out from the Lando T, gets his, the special attack drop even further on now on the Slowbro Galar, and takes Lipard down to its Sash. So a really good predict there from Dave. Realised that the Slowbro Galar was probably going to get the Trick Room up this turn. you know, it's got it up, but that's not Mario. Max Geyser comes out, but the Lando T just absolutely just tanks that. Does set up the rain for the Lantern as well. There's the Burning Jealousy into Lando T and the Lantern. That's not going to do much in the rain, and Max Quake is going to take out the Slowbro Galar, and it is first blood to Big Dog Dave. Newcastle Thunderous and the Dynamax does end on the Lando T, but a great start there from Dave, as in comes Salamence now with its Intim, so it does get the attack drop on the Lando T, which is pretty important. See, both Lando T and the Lantern with the special defense boost as well, so depends what sort of mode Dogsy is running the Salamence. You typically see a physical set, but this is Dogsy, and yeah, you can never know what to expect with this guy. Lipad's still kicking around with 1% HP as well, so you know, obviously has that prankster ability, so something to be careful of. You know, we saw Lat utilise the Screech and the Fake Tears on Lipad last season. Sorry, not the Screech, just Fake Tears, and that tended to work really, really well against opponents, especially while he still had Slowbro Galar on the field. So something Dave is going to have to be careful of. I would expect the instance in the back there is the Earthquake from Lipad. You know, gets the copycat off. It's not going to do too much though to Lantern. There's a Scald onto the Salamence, no bends, but the Hydro Pump does take out the Lando T. So that must be physical Salamence as well. Lando T down, and that is second blood, sorry, going Dogsy's way, and it is tied up all the pieces at 3v3. Of course, Lipad still on 1% HP, but in comes the Reggie Lecky. I need to call it Reggie Gigas there. My brain's still still thinking about the last game. Lecky joining the field. 2 Electric Mons on the field now, so Dave probably hoping that Salamence doesn't have any kind of ground moves or it's in a bit of trouble. There is the Hydro Pump from the Lipad using that copycat again. Scald is going to take out the Lipad, but the Hydro Pump doing such big damage to the Lecky. And Hyper Voice is going to take out the Lecky as well, so it is, you know, 2 kills in 1 turn. Dogsy taking kill, Dave taking kill, and in comes the Ditto to copy that Lantern. Copies the stat boost as well, so Ditto now being able to be used for much to Dogsy's advantage, and in comes the Incineroar to get the Intim off on the Salamence, drop its attack. Double Protect comes out from Dogsy to stop that fake out going off, so good stuff there from Dogs, and stops the Eerie Impulse as well. Good reads there from Dogsy, just, you know, saw that coming, just covers the options off. Now Dave does know that Salamence has that Hydro Pump. There is 1 more turn of rain to go. I don't know that Incin would live a Hydro Pump here, but with that attack drop from the Incin, it might just be enough. There is the Scald from the Ditto, takes the Incin down with Citrus Berry. Hyper Voice comes out, that's not quite doing enough. There's the Eerie Impulse into the Salamence. Darkest Lariat into that Ditto, that takes it down below half HP. Good turn from both players then. We sit here on turn number 8, still with 4 Mons on the field, 2 apiece. That Lantern has been sat here since turn 1. I told you, man, dude, never count out this Lantern. It is so strong, and Dave's Sun Protect comes out from that Lantern. Stops the Thunderbolt coming out from the Ditto, and the Hydro Pump does miss from the Salamence, and Darkest Lariat is going to take the Ditto out, so it is all up to Salamence for Dogsy now. You know, does he gamble on that Hydro Pump hitting this time, or, you know, does he try something else to try and take it out? The Hydro Pump does hit this time, and Incin does manage to just hang on. There's the Eerie Impulse again into the Salamence. Darkest Lariat, that takes Salamence down below half HP, and now as Salamence has got so much to do, I would think Dave is going to take this unless Salamence is... Salamence gets the Hyper Voice off, and it takes out the Incin. Thunderbolt comes out, but Salamence just about hanging on there. And it's Lantern on turn 11 versus Salamence. What a crazy game. And Lantern, the absolute MVP. Dragon Pulse not quite doing enough. There's the Thunderbolt to clean it off, and Dave gets game number 1. Dave playing a great game there with Lantern and with the Lando T as well. Bringing in the Incin as we move on to game number 2, and Dave switching up this time, trying the Trick Room setting with the Copper Raja and the Hatterini and Lipad and Slowbro once again for Dogs. Fake out comes out from the Lipad, and the Steel Spike goes into the Slowbro. That's going to get that defense move. It's not going to matter too much if there's a Max Ooze, and there it is. Max Ooze into the Hatterini. That's going to stop the Trick Room going off, and gets the special attack boost on the Slowbro as well to boot. And the Hatterini goes down, so first blood to Dogsy in this game too, as in comes the prodigal son, Lantern. Dogsy knows how much of a problem this thing is and knows it has the eerie impulse as well. It's going to be faster than Slowbro. Has already been burned the fake out as well on that open time, which was the right call. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It stops the Trick Room from going up. I do think Slowbro is slower, than Copper there. But you know, that doesn't counter in for quick draw procking. So you've always got to be careful of it facing off against the Slowbro. That's what makes it so scary. Quick draw comes out. There is the shell side arm from Lipad, and it obviously hits into the Copper Raj, and that's not going to work. The Eerie Impulse comes out from the Lantern. Max Flare into the Lipad. That's going to set up the Sun, and the Lantern gets some HP back to boot as well. And that is a great time from Dave there. Copycat just not really working out in Dogsy's favour. That Protect comes out from the Lantern, the Max Guard comes out from the Slowbro. That's going to enable Copycat and set the Trick Room. There's Max Overgrowth into the Lipad, and Dave gets himself on the board. It's 3v3, and he sets up the Grassy Terrain as well. So everyone's going to be getting HP back as the Dynamaxes do now end. Slowbro with that, you know, minor special attack as well, much thanks to the Lantern. But now Dogsy needs to be careful. Is this Water or Volt Absorb Lantern? If he gets this wrong with the Water Spout, you know, it is in the Sun as well, so maybe you want to stay away from that. But even a Scald, you get that wrong and you're going to be boosting the HP of that Lantern and keeping it around for much longer. Fake Out comes out though from the Blastoise. There's Expanding Force. The Lantern just hangs on, stops the Copper Raj from doing anything. The Thunderbolt comes out from the Lantern, and that takes the Blastoise down to just hit half HP. Grassy Terrain, giving buff to those HP as well, just keeping everything a little bit healthier than they were. We still sit here 3v3 on turn number 5. Honestly, these two play each other. I mean, it's just a Dave thing in general. These two play each other, and it goes for turns and turns, man. As he swaps in the Incin, gets those attack drops, there's the Expanding Force. It's not going to really affect Copper Raja. There's the Power Whip into the Blastoise. That's going to take it out, and it is now 3v2. Great, another great turn there from Dave. And now the Ditto comes out to copy that Incineroar, gets the Intims off onto the Copper Raja, which is very important, you know, a stout physical attacker. And of course, the attack drop as well on that Incin. Ditto just proving to be such a problem, man. You know, if Dogsy can get it positioned right, it's proven to be so effective. Slowbro still hanging around though, but knows that his moves are a little bit limited against that Copper Raja. And it's going to depend if Dave has, you know, the likes of a fire move on that instant that Ditto's been able to copy and use against it. You know, with that Sun boost, it's going to be really strong against the Copper Raja. There is the Fake Out into Copper Raja, good stuff there. There is the Fake Out from the Intim on Dave's side, and no one does anything. It's 2 flinches, 2 Fake Outs, and we move on to turn 7. One more turn of Trick Room to go. And another turn of Grassy Terrain as well. And that's just kept Copper Raja nice and healthy, and it's been just slowly boosting Slowbro. Quick Draw comes out from the Slowbro, and Incin swaps out. There's the Lantern, and it is Water Absorber. Great read there from Dave, gets the Scald off, and Lantern gets his HP back. Parting Shot comes out from the Ditto. That drops the attack and special attack of Copper Raja. So good stuff there from Dave, but what a read from Dave there. Of course, Incin's not going to swap out. I mean, Ditto is not going to swap out because Dogsy only has the 2 mons, but that's good stuff on the Copper Raja. It's going to stop it from hitting too hard. What a great read then. There's the Scald into the Ditto, and that takes it out from the Lantern. There's the Rock Slide from the Copper Raja. Shell Side Arm into the Lantern, but Lantern doesn't care. It hangs on. And it is now 1v3. Slowbro with it all to do. Scald comes out from the Lantern. There is the Iron Head from the Copper Raja, and Dave takes the game 2-0. Confirms himself for 5th place in the British Pokemon League East Division, and confines Dogsy to an 8th straight defeat. GG's to both guys. Dave once again just proving those switch-ins and reads so good. You know, that Intim rotation, and you know the Water Absorb proving so clutch on Lantern. I think that's, I mean, Lantern's good, you know, as a whole, but one thing that makes it such a problem Pokemon is, you know, you're left guessing until you proc it, or you know, you find out one way or another if it's Water Absorb or Volt Absorb. You know, if he's able to make a read like he did, you know, it works out in Dave's favour so well. So GG's to both guys. Dogsy goes to fight another day in his final week. Can he get that elusive win, or is he going to finish out the season on 1-9? Dave, you know, if it wasn't for the head-to-head record, would still be in for the shout of getting 4th place and spot up playoffs, but unfortunately due to that head-to-head record against Total Belgrade, it's going to mean he's just going to miss out even if he wins next week and Wheel loses. So, but credit to Dave. He played super well this half of the season, I think. He's got a little bit unlucky, so I'm sure we'll see him back with a vengeance in Season 3. But on to our next game, and before we look at any teams or anything like that, we've got a few interviews to have a look at. So first, we're going to hear from the man, the myth, the legend, the coach of Celtic Celebies, Draco. Alright, hello and welcome back. Welcome back to Draco as well. Draco, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mr. Star. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. The sun is shining. We're getting closer and closer to playoffs now. It is truly the business end of the season right now.
It really is.
Yeah, I'm excited. So obviously last week you got the win over Dave, which did unfortunately kick Dave out of the chance of getting playoffs, but it did also confirm your place in playoffs. And you've pretty much all but locked in that second place. There's still a chance, obviously, for it to drop, but you've got the second place. So in pre-season, you were saying the playoffs was your aim. So how are you feeling about how your first season in the British Portman Leagues went then?
I'm feeling really good. I feel like because I was new, most people would have expected me not to qualify, or if I did qualify, it would be in one of the lower places, like 4th maybe. But qualifying, like, I'm 2nd right now, and I'm secured playoffs. Like, it's a really good feeling, and
Yeah.
knowing that I'm now in playoffs, I can now take every game as it goes, potentially win, get to the final, and see how it goes from there.
Yeah, like you could just take your games in your stride now. But I mean, did you ever picture yourself as in the picture to win the regular season? Obviously, you're still on the same record as Aaron, who's in first, so there's still every chance that you could be regular season champion. Was that something you ever thought you could manage, or was it you just sort of been taking things as they go and just seeing what happens?
It was always something I obviously would want to do, to become regular season champion in my first ever season.
Mm-hmm.
After the first 2 weeks, when I lost both weeks, I was like, okay, this isn't going great, gotta take it every game at a time, have a game plan going in every time.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And yeah, now that I'm on this incredible winning streak, like you are too, it's getting ever so closer to actually doing it, and it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on an absolute roll since like week 3, and we've said it a few times on the show. We've just been mirroring our results for some reason. We both lost our first two matches, and then have just went on a 6-game winning streak, which is absolutely crazy. So like, massive congratulations for that, because I don't think. I think it wasn't so much people were sort of thinking, oh, they knew that they won't do so good. I think when someone new joins, it's sort of like you don't know what to expect. They could be like really, really good, or they could be like completely like unexpected, or they could be bad. It's just you never know, and you've I think you defied all expectations. And I think even beforehand you said you wanted to make playoffs, but you were like, I'll be happy if I get 4th. 4th place would be great for me. But like, here you are in going into week 9, nearly our final week, and you might win the regular season and grab yourself that first seed for playoffs. So I think you can take a lot for that. But so obviously this week you have got the man, the myth, the legend that is Chris and his South Croydon Saws. Obviously he's just come off the back of beating Wheels Torstal Belgrade. So how are you feeling going into that game? Are you feeling confident? Have you got a set game plan going in? What are you expecting from Crizzle?
I have got a game plan. I'm not gonna reveal too much. Obviously he's got the Cabalion, he's got the PZ, he's got the Volcarona, my Rillaboom that I traded him.
Oh yes, yeah.
But at the end of the day, he can have all these strong Pokemon, but I have a counter to pretty much all of them, and I have a game plan going in.
Good.
And he's not going to expect it.
Wow, big fighting talk words. I love it. Now, obviously the mid-season pickups you made have been absolutely phenomenal for you. Obviously I think the Tyranitar you picked up it now has 15 kills in the space of like 3 or 4 games, which is absolutely sensational. So Crizzle's definitely gonna have to be keeping an eye out for that. Obviously last time out you did did lose out to Crizzle. That was it back in week 2. So Crizzle was the last person to beat you as well. So so you're going to be looking to get one over on them, over on him, I'm sure.
Most definitely,
Yeah,
most definitely.
Absolutely. But so obviously all the playoff positions in the East Division are set now. So as we sort of take a look into playoffs, so what are your expectations going into the playoffs? Do you think any teams there are sort of a dark horse to win the whole thing? And who do you think sort of the biggest threat going into? Obviously, there is an obvious answer here, but I'll get your opinion of who you think's the biggest threat.
I feel like obviously Latvian being on this incredible undefeated 100% record. Obviously, he's going to be the main target, the main man to beat.
For sure.
And obviously, I'd be looking forward to playing against him. I'd be nervous,
yeah,
but I'd be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You know, as in terms of a dark horse, I think you.
Wait, really?
Yeah. No, because you've got the Venacol, got the Charizard. You've got a really, really strong core. All right, your Garchomp died to 2 fishes, but
we won't talk about that.
But yeah, I think you could definitely be a dark horse. We could potentially meet.
But yeah, there's definitely a chance of that at this point. In first round, there's a big chance of that.
I think in terms of my division, obviously Aaron's a big threat with his Kingdra Thunderos. Crizzle's obviously a big player. Mr. Hop and his Regigigas don't seem to be doing too well.
I mean, not after that game versus Crizzle. It didn't go according to plan. The Gigas that game. I think
that was quite embarrassing.
If the other team brings something to beat out that Gigas, it sort of seems to fall apart from. But with Mr. Hop, you can never count him out. You know, and if he is in playoffs and he does finish in 4th, one thing to remember is he's the only person to have a 100% record versus Latvian. So I'm sure that's going to be playing in Latvian's head as well.
Yeah, this is true, but Latvian's been on form this season.
He really is on a tear.
If those two were to me, I can't see Mr. Hop getting on top there.
No.
I'll be honest. I think Latvian will take it.
Yeah, like I said, Latvian is a very good player.
He
you
is.
know, I'm expecting him to make it far, but you never know with this draft league. But in terms of your own expectations, obviously you've now hit playoffs. So sort of, what are your next goals then? Is it just to sort of get as far as you can in playoffs and maybe even go on to win the whole thing, or is it just sort of like you were saying earlier, just take it one game at a time and see what happens?
Yeah, mostly just take it one game at a time. I can't get ahead of myself.
Sure.
You know, just sort of trying to make it as far as I can. Become a real big top player in this league.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like the playoffs is the place to do that.
Yeah, and obviously the further you make it in the playoffs, that's going to affect your position in the draft for next season as well. So there's a lot more than just winning the whole thing and money and things on the line. Of course, there's position in next season's draft, which is always important, and I think it's good to take that momentum from playoffs into the next season as well.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Well, that's all we've got time for anyway, Draco. I do appreciate your time, and it's always good to speak to you, and we'll hopefully catch up with you again around about the times of playoffs. But thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you. Yep.
And of course, we had to speak to his opposite number as well, playing him this week, Chris, the man himself, the coach of South Croydon Swords. Let's hear it for our guy. 2 seconds. Let's get it up. Whoop. We have got, for the first time this season, Mr. Crizzle, coach of South Croydon Swords. Crizzle, how are you doing, my friend?
Hello, Mr. Star. I'm doing well, you know, just ticking along here. Ready to beat the rest of them.
Yeah. So obviously you've been playing pretty damn well so far in your first season. You're sat in 3rd place right now. So sort of give us an overall sort of view of your season so far. How do you think it's been going up until now?
Pretty good. A couple of shock losses. Week 1 to Weo, week 7 to Dave. Some shock losses in there, but some good high wins. Taking out Aaron and his undefeated streak.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the same to this week to Draco.
Oh.
Wreck his 7 win streak.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Obviously, so you were the first person to beat Aaron coming into this, and obviously Aaron spoke very, very highly of you coming into this. So, like, was that sort of a personal high to get one over? And Aaron obviously beat you the first time round, but was it?
It was just some good revenge, really.
Yeah.
Like, he battered me week 5, so I battered him week 6.
Because I said it wasn't just the revenge part. It was like you ended that dude's 5-game streak.
That felt good.
Yeah, and you played it super well as well. That the Volcarona has just been super strong. So like, speaking of Volcarona, like, how do you think your like mid-season pickups sort of affected your team? Do you think they've won up to your team now, or do you think like they've just came in and they're just a nice support to the sort of core of mons you already had that were doing really well for you?
Well, as I think everyone knew, I wasn't trading PZ, Cabalion or Sneasel for anything. So when they ended up trading virtually the entire team, apart from those 3, I had no idea what I was doing. Just get 8 different mons in for the sake of getting 8 different mons in. But yeah, a lot of them have worked out. Some haven't. Oh, I've still got Octillery, but yeah, he's just sitting there ready to shoot off a water spout whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, he can be just a super sub at some point. You know, he's gonna just water spout someone's face off. But yeah, like I mean, Dracozolt, which you picked up from the Sceptiles, and obviously Volcarona you picked up from free agency. I think it's sort of 2 that stand out that are being like really, really strong. But Sneasel, which you mentioned, I don't think anyone. I mean, it's always a stout sort of support next to Cabalion, either proc beat up or justified or anything. But that thing is on the kill leaderboard, which is just unbelievable.
I know the thing. I think everybody underestimates it so much. Because you see it and you just think, it's just going to beat up, take a hit, and then die. But obviously, everyone's trying to kill the Cabalion next to it or the Porygon next to it, and this thing does quite a bit of damage itself.
Yeah, it's really strong, and it's got so many different modes that it can run as well. And as you say, people are always sort of focusing the thing next to it. I think it's why like. The likes of Gigos on Wio's team until it plays you can be super strong, and just mons like that where they're always going to focus on the Dynamax mon rather than the mon next to it, and then next thing you know, the support mon's just like taking names left, right, and centre. But it's just been very amusing to see this. As I was saying in the show, just Sneasel's just sat there folded arms, like, oh yeah, what you can do about it? just sits there and doesn't care. So, as we've already mentioned, you're obviously facing off against Draco this week. Draco with the 6-game unbeaten streak. So, how are you feeling going into this game? Are you feeling pretty confident? Have you got a sort of solid game plan set up?
I'm kind of thinking, Candy Ball, go boom.
Candy Ball, yeah.
He's got a lot of things that don't like fairy types, so yeah, that's one idea, and then obviously revert to type. Bring Porygon, bring Cabalion, and same again.
Yeah. Obviously, the T-Town, his team, which he picked up during the mid-season break, it's already sat there on 15 kills, so that's probably going to be a big, strong thing to try and take out on the opposing side. This thing's it lived a Max Geyser in the rain from Kingdra, so sort of what are you thinking to try and take that thing out? Have you got something in mind? You don't have to tell us if you don't want to, but have you got an idea?
I don't know. Dynamic punch from Machoke might help.
Just uppercut the thing.
Yeah. Just hit it hard with a physical attack, and that might be better than trying to hit it on the special side.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because the last thing you want to do is proc a weakness policy on this thing and let it sort of go hard. I think. Dave and Dogsy have both found out the hard way that if you don't take care of it, it can be really difficult to stop.
Yeah, and not just that, but it enables that damn Dracovish as well, and not many of my team like taking a double-powered Vicious Rend, even the ones that resist it, so...
No, definitely not. Yeah. I think I mentioned this in the show, but like, Lele has been such a dark horse for him. I think it's always been a good mon, but like, for some odd reason now, with it paired up with T-Tar and Vish, it just seems to come in and just
Wreck house.
wreck house.
Yeah.
It's been super strong. So it's been interesting, but I think it's going to be a really, really close game for sure between you both. But you both confirmed for playoffs now. Was that something that was always your goal coming in? You wanted to at least get playoffs, or you just sort of...
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, Aaron's saying I'm going to win the damn thing, so and you guys are relying on me to bring it home. So yeah.
The whole of England is behind you, Chris, to win the whole thing. So no pressure. We're gonna be in the chat for the playoff final, just screaming "Sweet Caroline," while the Orange Army is there in support of that. Speaking of playoffs, though, so what is your expectations going into it for like yourself? Who do you think sort of someone to watch out for? I said this to Draco early, but there is an obvious answer there. But in your opinions, someone to watch out for, and who do you think out of both divisions is a dark horse to sort of go far or even win the whole thing?
Oh, Weo. Now he's got that Gigas on his side. He's going to go far. Like I won't deny I was a little bit lucky with those 2 misses with the Will-O-Wisp, but yeah, I think he's going to go far.
Mm-hmm.
Candies, he's got his team ticking over. This half of the season, so I reckon he's going to be someone to really worry about. Obviously, I don't want to face Lat until the very final, so yeah, it's going to be the grand final, Mr. Crizzle versus Lat. It's coming home.
I'm very excited to see that. That'll be really good to see you face off against him.
I've just got to avoid him all the way up until the grand final.
Yeah, well, so obviously the way it's going to work is obviously first from his division, himself will play 4th from yourself, and then in the second round, the winner of the opposite side, so the whoever finished first in the East versus 4th in the West, will play each other. So you might obviously, if you win the whole regular season, you might end up playing him second round, but you could end up avoiding him for quite a while. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. Of course, there's always the worry that someone could just beat Lat and knock him down to losers, and Lat coming from that sort of position is probably just as scary as facing off against him in winners bracket.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
yeah, and obviously your team, I know you've got the V Nicole. I know what that thing can do. Obviously, you took it, we traded it, but I can't use V Nicole, so I'm glad you're having a better time of it than I did.
I'll be honest, I haven't really used it all that well. Venusaur has like 1 kill and has done the sum total of nothing since week 6. But Torkoal is just so much fun to use. It's so great. But I do think that was probably the best trade deal in the history of trade deals, to be honest. I think I'd argue it's better than Brexit. So that's what I'm calling it, the better than Brexit transfer. It's such a Brexit FC transfer as well.
It's really.
Oh man. So obviously only 2 weeks left now of the regular season. So are you just going to be going all out to sort of win your final games, try and finish as high as possible, or are you just sort of going to rest on your laurels now you've reached playoffs and just sort of more?
Well, I want to finish as high as possible, but that is mostly out of my hands. I've got to rely on other people beating Aaron.
Yeah, for sure.
So if Weo could do me a favour, that'd be nice.
Yeah, well, whoever slid the money to the showdown mods for your game versus Sim, we'll do the same for that. Slide them some money. Well, now we're on this Chinese server. We'll just send some money to the Chinese government. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for your time and your words today, Chris. We'll catch up with you very soon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Star. Catch you soon.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Always great to hear from both those guys, and thank you very much to Chris and Draco for their time, for those interviews, both with some very spicy words for each other and their opponents coming up to playoffs. But, of course, it is time for the two to face off. It is Celtic Sotheby's taking on the South Croydon Saws. Last time these two faced each other, Chris and his duo of Kabalion and Sneasel were just unable to be stopped by Draco, and the Celebes And this was, as I said earlier on, this is the last time that Draco lost was to Chris' Soft Croydon Sauce. So Draco will definitely want to get a one over on Chris and keep that unbeaten streak going. And of course, Chris still in with a shot, along with Draco, of winning the East Division's regular season title. So this is going to be a spicy fixture. Let me just tell you that. Both going to be going at it to try and get the win here. We might see some interesting plays to get it done. But on the side of Celtic Celebies, I think it's hard to argue that, you know, you'd be expecting that the Tita and the Vish would come out here, but it is whether or not that Chris has something in line, expecting this, and can do something to stop it. Of course, has a Trick Room mode, and Stack Attacker itself is such a hard hitter. Has ally switch sometimes on their Stacker attack as well, so something that Chris is going to have to keep an eye on. And of course, that Drift Bloom as well, if he's able to get that unburdened procced. This thing goes burr. Not only is it hard to kill, but has that Strength Saptors drop the attacks. Could work really well against the Kabalion here and be a bit of a problem for Chris. Alternatively as well, the Coughing with its neutralizing gas ability could prove to be very useful against that Kabalion. But we will certainly see. And of course, do not count out Lele. Obviously said in the interviews that has been such a dark horse for Draco, and full credit to Draco and Lele itself. It's such a strong Pokemon. Yeah, I think it could be really strong in this matchup. Over on the side of Crizzle, I think it's hard to argue with it. Again, you know, that this Kabalion and Sneasel, it proved to be so powerful against Draco last time. I think there's a good chance that we see it once again. Of course, that Volcarona as well with the Rage Powder, that could work really well in Crizzle's favour in this matchup as well. You know, stop that T-Tar from hitting too hard. Tailwind as well from that Tornadus with Prankster could prove to be quite useful. Get that speed control. You know, that if he does bring the Vish T-Tar duo under the sand with the Sand Rush, it's going to be going fast and hitting real hard. I think Slurpuff as well. You know, this tiny little cream cake. You know, there's so much Dragon Mons and weak to it on that side of Draco that it could be really strong here. And something we haven't seen in a little while is Porygon Z. You know, it's pretty be, you know, they've been headhunter for Crizzle's team, but has been quite reliant on that Kabalion and Sneasel duo, and for good reason. It is such a strong duo. So, you know, all power to him. But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. Let's get straight on to the game. Celtic Celebies taking on the South Croydon Stars, and Draco starting off with the Machamp and the Stack Attacker. So not at all what I don't think anyone was expecting from Draco, but that is always good to see. Bringing the unexpected, it can always work in your favour, you know, catch your opponent off guard. And of course, Chris leading the line with the Kabalion and Sneasel as we expected. Of course, Volcarona, the Slurpuff, Rillaboom and Porygon Z in the back, and Regidrago, Dragovish, Tapu Lele, and I think it's that Magneton behind the name piece there for Draco. So no T-Tar this time as Machamp, the G-Max Machamp does go for his G-Max. Protect comes out from the Kabalion, Taunt comes out from the Sneasel. That's going to stop the Trick Room growth. G-Max Chi-Strike goes into the Kabalion, the Protect stops that hitting too hard, but that is going to up the crit rate on the Machamp and the Stack Attacker. But as you see there, no Trick Room going off for Draco, so unable to get that speed control, and you know, Kabalion just, you know, it's going to be super fast here compared to the Machamp and Stack Attacker. So Crizzle with the whole world in his hands in this second turn. Does Draco have something in mind, and you know, to get, you know, try and get something going here? If you can maybe swap the Stack Attacker out, swap it back in a little bit later on, get that Trick Room up in maybe the next turn or two, and keep that Machamp alive. That is ideally what you'd want. But we'll certainly see in the next turn or two what happens. Kabalion goes for his D-Max, and there is the beat up from the Sneasel, and gets that justified going and boosts that attack right up. Up to 2.5 times. The text just fills the screen. It's never ending. There's 3 times the attack. Max Airstream it in the Machamp. That is going to Orco the Machamp. Machamp going straight down that Dynamax, being taken out. There is the body press from the Stack Attacker. Not quite doing enough to the Kabalion, but that's still good damage. Takes the Kabalion down to 39% damage. 39% HP, sorry. And Stack still alive on 100% HP. Hopefully, if you can keep it alive long enough, maybe that taunt wears off, gives him a chance. I think Draco will now be sort of hoping he's able to get a crit or two with that Stack Attack, you know, G-Max Chi-Strike, given the crit chance, increased crit chances, as Tapu Lele now flies into the field, gets that Psychic Terrain set up, so no Prankster moves, priority moves going off now. And Lele, you know, such a hard hitter, but it's not going to enjoy taking a Steel Spike from the Kabalion, so he's going to have to be careful here. You know, Kabalion has that 1.5 times speed now as well, so his Flushy will be faster. There's the low kick into the Stack Attacker that does live through that, and there's the Steel Spike into the Lele. The Bibiru Berry doesn't matter. Lele goes down, and now Stack Attacker with it all to do is 2v4 now, as Reggie Draco comes in the field now, and it's a rinse and repeat of the first match between these two. It's Kabalion with the Justified proc and Sneasel just staring him down, and Draco just having no answer to it, you know. The taunt does end, but I think it's a little bit too little too late to try and get the Trick Room set up now. I don't know what you can do to really stop this Kabalion, but great stuff there from Crizzle, you know, identifying that that Machamp was going to hit the Kabalion hard, and it was probably not best to let Stack Attacker set up and to wait to get the Justified to go in that second turn, so good stuff from both coaches. There's the low kick from the Sneasel to take out the stack. There's a Steel Spike from the Kabalion. Oh, goes the Reggie Draco, and first game goes to Crizzle's South Croydon Saws at 1-0. Great game from both coaches there as we move on into game number 2. Sorry, it was not Magneton, it was Metang. Metang, obviously formerly of Bulu Boys fame, and it is Stack Attacker and that Metang that lead the line for Draco, and Kabalion Sneasel once again for Crizzle. I don't think anyone would have expected the Metang in this game from Draco, so Draco really switching it up here, you know, trying something new. Obviously that Metang you would expect to be running with Evilite, but you never know, you know, it could be a weakness policy if I'm pretty sure Stack gets Brutal Swing, so if you get Trick Room going here, you know, I don't think you're always going to expect the taunt from the Sneasel, but you have to, I think you just have to go for it on the off chance that Crizzle doesn't try it out. You would expect Crizzle to get that beat up and Justified going again. But that's not to say that Draco doesn't have an answer for it this time round. Temple of the TBPL. High and mighty. No air balloon on it this time round. I do love a good air balloon on Stack Attacker. You know me. The guys know me with the artwork that I posted. And Metang goes for its Dynamax, and the low kick was out the Sneasel, but it's not going to work on the Dynamax. Metang, there's the Max Quake into the Kabalion. That's get the Split Def up and does quite a big amount of damage to Kabalion. There is the Brutal Swing. That is going to give the Kabalion a bit of justified boost, but procs the weakness policy on that Metang. So there it is. It's weakness policy. It's baby Metagross. Yeah, ally switch Tricker in this turn. Yeah, I think that's a fair enough assumption. You know, it's look at the draw. What you go for. And then so Draco gets the policy off on the Metang. Metang is going to be much slower than that Kabalion. So Criz is free to set. There's the low kick, does take Stack down with Sash. It was Sash Stack, and Sacred Sword is going to take it out. So he fully focuses into the Stack Attacker, stops that speed to go up. But Max Quake is going to take out the Kabalion, and Metang gets its first kill of the British Pokemon League. And it is now down one apiece. It's 3v3. But Sneasel once again sat there with his arms folded, just not going anywhere, just staring you down. And Rillaboom now comes on the field, gets that grassy terrain set up. Grassy Glide from the Rillaboom is going to hit hard. So something Draco needs to be careful of here. Dracovish without its sand, so you'd expect it to maybe be the Strong Jaw with maybe a Scarf. Although Draco has run this thing with Life Orb quite a few times, and we've seen substitute Dracovish a few times this season. So bringing all kinds of different strats to the table. Rillaboom goes for its G-Max. There it is, and Protect comes out from the Dracovish, so it must be Life Orb. The triple axle gets blocked by that Protect. There's G-Max Drum Solo into the Dracovish. Does hit through the Protect, and there's the Max Hailstorm from the Metang. Not quite doing enough to the Rillaboom. That's still big damage, and that is going to be the end of Metang's Dynamax, though. Rillaboom with another 2 times of it to go. That G-Max Drum Solo with the grassy terrain is going to hit super hard, so going to need to take care of it. You can't ignore it, but you also can't ignore Sneasel, you know, and this is what Chris was saying, you know, that people just tend to just ignore the Sneasel because it's just a little baby one, it's going to do nothing, and then boom! All of a sudden it slaps you in the face and you've lost the game, so, you know, can never ever count it out. Much like Dave in his Lantern. You've got to cover it off. Drago swaps out as in comes the Lele, gets that psychic terrain set up, stops that grassy terrain, triple axle comes out from the Sneasel, that does big damage but only hits him 2 times. There's the Max Quake from the Rillaboom and that's going to take care of the Metang. It is now a 3v2. It is Dracovish and Lele versus the world. And Rillaboom with one more turn of its G-Max to go. As we said, no grassy terrain for it now, so it's not going to get the boost from G-Max Jump Solo. Deck comes out from the Vish. There's the triple axle into the Lele. That's going to take it out, and Vish with it all to do. G-Max Drum Sword is going to hit through that Protect, but that is the end of Rillaboom's G-Max. And now Vish with it all to do. I think Sneasel's going to be fast. Sneasel might actually get the game-winning kill again here. This little Sneasel, honestly, is the true dark horse of the British Pokemon League. There it is. There's the triple axle. Is it going to be enough to take it out? It only hits the 2 times. There is the Ice Fang into the Rillaboom, and Vish gets itself a kill. Life Orb damage does take it down, and the Hail takes it out, and Krizzle takes game number 2 and hands Draco his first loss since week number 2. That game 2 was super close. You know, I think it was very dependent on how that turn 1 went, and Metang. Man, who would have ever expected the Metang really putting in the work there? Rillaboom and Sneasel in the late game, though, just proving too strong. So GG's to both coaches, and that is going to mean that Draco is out of the running of winning the East Division regular season. But as he said in the interview, he's achieved what he's out to do in making playoffs, and now it's just about taking it step by step. And Krizzle now, it is all down to Krizzle and Aaron to see who's going to take the British Pokemon League East Division regular season title. If Aaron wins by any scoreline next week, Aaron is going to take the title. If he loses and Krizzle wins, though, then Krizzle is going to take the East Division regular season title and take that all-important first seed into playoffs. So a lot still to play for in that final week, but we have got, of course, obviously the 4th place spot is already lined up, and because Latvian has already guaranteed himself that top spot in the West Division, that means we have our first playoffs match set, boys and girls. It is going to be Torstar Belgrade versus the Miami Heat, and that is our first, our first winners, not winners, but our first playoffs round match. And it's going to be a very spicy tie because Rio is one of the few Season 1 players that, well, he's the only one from Season 1 that Latvian is yet to beat. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. Moving on now, though, to the West Division, though, and our first game of the West Division. It is Bulu Boys taking on Miami Heat. Look, much like Bulu Boys and Long Island Goomys, these two have faced off quite a number of times. Lat with the advantage coming into this game. Lat with 4 match wins, Bulu Boys with the 2. Of course, Latvian with that 8-0 record, Bulu Boys with the 6-2. Both with unbeaten streaks, but Lat with that 100% record coming into this game. Now, the last few games, we've seen him pretty much employ a very similar strat, and it has worked super well for him. Of course, we've seen the Frostlass and the Tauros setting up that anger point. And of course, it's had a Trick Room mode with the Glastrier and the Slowking Galar, with Railu there as Prankster set up as well. And if not, we typically see the Cinderace line up with that Blastoise duo. And man, it is such a powerful duo. You know, honestly, probably one of, if not the most powerful duo in our league thus far. You know, it is so hard to stop, and you know, so hard to stop. You know, him winning the game through that. Of course, don't count out Whimsicott, Pincurchin, and Kangaskhan as well, and Morgrem, the ones we didn't mention. Whimsicott last time was the Bulu Boys undoing the last time these two teams played, and of course, Lat does have his prodigal son Kangaskhan back in the lineup. We've not really seen it as of yet, but that doesn't mean to say it won't come this week. Over on the side of Bulu Boys, it is the Sun Core team over there. Venu has not really got as many kills, as much work done as you would have expected. Garchomp and the Raichu, funnily enough, have been vitally important to the Bulu Boys this half of the season. And of course, that Mesprit as well. Mesprit is probably the Bulu Boys' dark horse. You don't expect this thing to do as much work as it does, but it really does. And Torkoal as well. You know, we saw Torkoal against Bastiodons last week, really putting in work in that game number 1. Charizard not really been able to sort of stretch its wings apart from week number 6. Has pretty much exclusively came in, got absolutely annihilated, and that is all she wrote for the Charizard. So whether it's going to be effective here, I think it's going to be very much dependent on speed control, and you know, if it's faster than any of the mons. You know, that does have quite a speedy team, but obviously has those Trick Room modes as well. So very difficult to prepare for, but this is going to be a spicy game. Let's have a look at Miami Heat taking on the Bulu Boys. then. And there you go, so no Tauros and Frostlass this week for Latvian. It is Pinkirchen, Cinderace, Glastrier, Whimsicott, Kangaskhan and Riolu. And Matt leads out with the Venucall leader, and of course got the Alolan Ninetales, has the Charizard, the Klefki, and the Garchomp in the back. And Latvian leading the line with the Kangaskhan. We just said about the Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan comes out, and Whimsicott, the Matt's mortal enemy from the game before, as Torkoal goes for it. Dynamax and gets a prediction wrong, gets the fake out into the Torkoal, and Sleep Powder goes off from the Venusaur, puts that Kangaskhan to sleep, and Whimsicott taken down with Sash by that Max Flare, so he is going to be able to get the Trick Room up. Either way, Matt is not going to be able to stop that from going up there, but you know, doing the unexpected there, Dynamax and the Torkoal. That Torkoal is going to hit really hard in the sun. The Memento comes out from the Whimsicott though, so it's going to favour that, but it's going to drop the special attack and attack onto that Torkoal. So a great move there from Matt, and Kangaskhan to sleep. There's the Energy Ball from the Venusaur. Venusaur, as I said, not going for a Steam Match, but doing a little bit more chip damage away to Kangaskhan. And I was going to say, you would expect Glastrier to come in now in this Rune Service Glastrier, which I would think is going to make it slower than Torkoal, so it's going to get to move first here in the Trick Room. So a great item choice there from that. Obviously that's good information for Broody Boys as well, knowing it's not Weakness Policy or Life Orb or Assault Vest. Max Hailstorm comes out from the Glastrier. That's going to take the Venusaur down with Sash, and Max Flare is going to hit that Glastrier. Not doing as much thanks to that special attack from Memento, but does stop the hail. And Sleep Powder comes off again from Venusaur and puts that Glastrier to sleep. Glastrier is going to have another 2 turns of Dynamax, but is Matt going to be able to keep it asleep for those 2 turns? It is 4v3, but a really good move there from that. You know, he knew Whimsicott was banned, and Memento's going to take it out, but drop the special attack and attack on that Torkoal. So great move choice there from Latvian. Check comes out from the Venusaur, just covering off his Glastrier away. So there's the Eruption, not quite taking out Kangaskhan on Glastrier, but had to go for it even with the special attack drop, just in case of that, those wake ups. And Kangaskhan now still just about hanging on. Who's going to be the first to wake up on Latvian's team? And Glastrier wakes up, gets a max quick, but the Torkoal just about hangs on. There is the Eruption. It's not going to do anything. And that's for Death Beam. And Kangaskhan also wakes up. Rock Slide comes up. That's going to miss the Torkoal, but it's going to take out Venusaur for good measure. And Latvian gets a kill on the board as Glastrier's Dynamax now does end. But crucially enough, Trick Room has now ended as the Charizard now enters the fray. Is Charizard going to be able to get anything going here? Is he going to be able to get a kill? You know, Matt does obviously know that Kangaskhan has that Rock Slide. Not sure really that Glastrier is going to have anything to take care of the Charizard, unless it does get a rock move. There's the Heat Wave from Charizard, but it doesn't quite do enough. Takes out the Glastrier, but misses the Kangaskhan. There's the Rock Slide, takes out the Charizard, so it does at least get a kill. But that's not going to do all that much damage to Garchomp, as now Torkoal is going to switch back in. And who's the final one for Latvian? It is Pinkirchen. So sets up the Electric Terrain, but so he does get access to that Rising Voltage, so Matt is going to have to keep an eye on that, be careful of that, of course. But it is now Pinkirchen and a very unhealthy Kangaskhan, a very unhealthy Torkoal, taking on the Garchomp and the Torkoal. Protect comes out from the Torkoal. There's the Earthquake. That is going to take out Kangaskhan. That is going to proc the Sugar Berry on the Pinkirchen. Pinkirchen just about hanging on. And Pinkirchen goes for the Muddy Water, so Protect stops that from going off. Gets a crit on the Garchomp. That's not going to do too much damage from the sun. No accuracy drops as well. And that is going to be it. Latvians Miami Heat's 100% record is burned. Broody Boys take this first game and the advantage in this matchup. 1-0 to the Broody Boys. Great start there from Broody Boys. That's what they wanted to see. As Latvian leads out with the same Kangaskhan and Whimsicott. And it is this time, it is Charizard and the Torkoal. So switching it up a little bit here. You see that Whimsicott, you would expect to also have Tailwind as well. So that could work really well on Latvian. It's going to, you know, if he goes for the Tailwind, it's going to make that Kangaskhan fast and Charizard and then take out the Charizard with any kind of rock move, really. As Charizard goes for its G-Max, the Protect comes out from the Torkoal. That's going to cover off for the fake out. Obviously, knowing he's going for that. There's G-Max Wildfire. That's going to take Whimsy down with Sash, but it's obviously going to set up the Trick Room. So the Wildfire is going to take the Whimsicott out. So no Memento this time round. But now Lat is going to have full speed control. In comes Pinkirchen, which is much slower than that then that Torkoal and electric terrain is set up, so Matt is going to have to keep an eye out for that. Kangaskhan goes for it. Dynamax, that's a good turn. Rising Voltage comes out, and that all caused the Torkoal. There's the Max Rockfall into the Charizard as well, and all of a sudden, turn number 2, this is what flipped right on his head, and Latvian's played that perfectly. Gets 2 kills. Those Wildfire Flames doing a little bit of chip damage, but using the Trick Room to great effect, as now Garchomp and the Venusaur now swap back in. Not a great turn there for the Bulu boys. That is the risky run with Charizard. Unfortunately, it is 4 times weak to Rock. It's not going to be living any Rock moves, and Kangaskhan is such a strong Pokemon. You know, Matt's been able to use it with its Dynamax to much effect. Protect comes out from the Venusaur. There's a recover on the Pincurchin. Max Hailstorm though on the Kangaskhan. That's going to take out Garchomp, and now there's 1v3. Venu with it all to do. Kangaskhan has another 10 of its Dynamax as well, and now he knows has that Hailstorm. The Hail chipping away at Venusaur as well, so that Sash is not going to matter now. There is the Rising Voltage. The Resist comes out. There's the Hailstorm from Kangaskhan, and all of a sudden it is 1 apiece. 4 turns, and Lat takes game number 2. An awful start in that game for Bulu boys, but Lat playing that absolutely perfectly, and Matt going once again for the Blastoise. Not the Blastoise. Fucking, I'm confusing myself. Going for the Torkoal and the Charizard lead this time. Trying something else here. Does Kangaskhan go for the Dynamax again? Kangaskhan does go straight for the Dynamax. Torkoal goes for its Dynamax with no fake out, and the Tailwind comes out from the Whimsicott. Rockfall's going to hit a Charizard, and Charizard is done. It is out of there, and now Lat has speed control again. The Flare into the Whimsy is going to take it down with Sash, and that's going to allow Lat to be able to maybe get a Memento off again, and that's going to just completely stall out the Torkoal as well. And in comes the Alolan Ninetales, so that's going to reset the Sun. That's going to be doing some hail damage there. So good to know. We expect the Whimsy to go for Memento. Kangaskhan here can just go for any attack here, and I think a Rockfall into that Alolan Ninetales is going to hit hard, and it's going to really hurt. There's the Memento as expected, drops a special attack on the Torkoal. There's the Blizzard into the Kangaskhan. It's not a Rockfall into the Alolan Ninetales. As expected, takes it out, resets the weather, gets the special defense buff, and now Kangaskhan easily eats that up. Does reset the weather with the Max Flare, but it's not going to matter too much. It is now 2v3. Kangaskhan still in the turn of his Dynamax as well. Kangaskhan just proving to be the deciding factor as Venusaur now swaps in. In comes the Pincurchin, sets up the electric terrain. It's going to stop those sleeps from going off from that Venusaur. And I already know what's coming here because I remember clicking it. Sleep Powder does fortunately miss. Saves Matt's blushes on that one. Obviously not going to work on that electric terrain. There's Rising Voltage into that Torkoal. Max Flare does take out the Pincurchin, so it is 2v2 as Kangaskhan's Dynamax ends. And we still have another turn of the Tailwind. What is Lat's final mon then in the back? It is the Glastrier. But with another turn of Tailwind, Matt has got to be able to potentially try and stall this out. See, Glastrier and Kangaskhan will be both going comfortably faster here. Energy Ball, Kangaskhan just not going to do enough. Does drop the special defense. There is the Ice Punch to take out the Venusaur. High horsepower into the Torkoal, and that is it. Latvian takes game number 3 and hands Bulu boys their first defeat since week number 2 against the Miami Heat. GG's to Latvian. That was a really, really fun game to play as always. I love playing against that dude. Yeah, those were super close games. They don't look like it, but you know, they were to an extent. Game 2 was not though. Let's be honest. Game 2 was over before it was basically like the game 1 from match 1 when we played earlier in the season. It was just like every turn was just a bump, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's over. Oh well. Anyways, as I said, GG's to Latvian. Hands me my first defeat since week number 2, and he moves on to week number 10, looking for that 10-0, that perfect scoreline. Then will he be able to do it? We'll find out next week. On to our second game for the West Division. It is the California Bastiodons taking on the Long Island Goomies. Last time, the Bastiodons taking the win. The Metagross just proving way too strong for the Long Island Goomies, and the Excadrill, went for the weakness policy proc with the flip turn on the Starmie. Didn't quite work out after the Bulldoze went off. Dropped the speed of the Excadrill, and Oma able to easily take that win. Obviously, the Goomies team looking slightly different to then Oma, with only the one change since the mid-season break, but that Aerodactyl has proved to be so strong for the Bastiodons. Not only is able to set up Tailwind, but also has access to Bulldoze, which can proc the Metagross's weakness policy and drop speed of other mons as well. Of course, Oma has the Hitmontop in the back with, Intim, Fake Out, Wide Guard, Quick Guard, you name it. This is a mon that just does everything. Hitmontop is such a strong Pokemon. Amoonguss with the Rage Powder as well could work really good here as well. But on the side of Goomies, also has Follow Me with Clefairy is an option as well. You would expect Silly to try and utilise that G-Max Urshifu Dark as well. That's going to be really strong against Metagross. Candy's proving back in week 6 just how strong that Dark Urshifu is into that Metagross. So, if Oma does go for the trusty lead, as you would expect him to do, it's going to be really strong against that lineup. But it's whether Silly can keep that Urshifu around long enough. The likes of the Sylveon comes from Oma. 4 times weak to Fairy. That G-Max Urshifu is not going to enjoy that. So something to keep an eye out as well. Of course, we've seen the likes of Fletching and Hippopotas come for Silly as well. He seems to just know how to utilise these baby Pokemon really well, so full credit to Silly. When they've worked really well. When they haven't worked, they've really flopped hard. And of course, on Oma's side as well, you've got the likes of the Scolipede, which, gets this, with its ability, gets those speed boosts. You usually see a Sword Stance from that thing and can start hitting real hard. And of course, Chandelure as well. Chandelure has been a super strong Pokemon for Oma. He's been able to switch it in and utilise the Ally Switch and Trick Room as well. Keep Flash Fire on it, and, it gets those Fire type attack boosts. But anyways, onto this game. This is a big game though. Before we get into it, this is a huge game. If Silly loses this game, he is out of the running for playoffs, and Oma is going to confirm himself for that playoffs position. So a lot on the line in this one. Can Silly do it? Can he keep himself alive going into week 10 as he leads the line with Dark Urshifu and Mr. Rhyme, and Oma leads the line with Water Urshifu and the Hitmontop. Hitmontop getting the Intim off, so that's going to be really huge against the Dark Urshifu. Drops the attack there, so that's important to note. Mr. Rhyme is an interesting choice, but you'd expect to see Fake Out from that thing, or potentially Screens. It does usually have the ability to screen clean, so you have to watch it out if you are rotating that mon, just so you don't eliminate your own screens. But could work really well. But while the Urshifus are on the field, both coaches obviously know they can't go for any protected attacks. You're going to get hit straight through them. Urshifu does not care, as the Water Urshifu does go for its G-Max, and the Detect comes out from the Dark Urshifu. Let's just stop the Fake Out from going off, but Silly gets the call wrong. Water Urshifu goes for G-Max. That Fake Out's not going to matter, and Max Knuckle hits through that Protect and gets an attack boost for that Water Urshifu, which could be really huge. Can Omen just sort of keep this rolling here? It's a good start for him. And I think Silly may be expecting the Water Urshifu to just go straight for a Surging Strikes or something, and Omen, wise to that, goes straight for the G-Max, and that Fake Out ends up wasted. Obviously he knows that the Hitmontop is going to be faster, so I don't blame him for not trying to Fake Out the Hitmontop. Sucker Punch does not work from the Hitmontop. There is the Max Knuckle. That's going to take out the Dark Urshifu and gets 2 times attack on the Water Urshifu. Reflect goes up from the Mr. Rhyme. Obviously you would think Hitmontop was going for the Sucker Punch on that Mr. Rhyme, get that special effective damage. But the status move going up, stopping that from going off. But the 2 times attack for both Dark Urshifu and the Hitmontop is really huge. And in comes now Excadrill. It's going to be weak to both the Hitmontop, with a close combat, or that Water Urshifu. So this is going to be a difficult one for Silly to come back from now. I believe the Water Urshifu is faster, and with no way to proc the Sand Rush as well. It doesn't look like that the Hippo has come looking at that team of 6. So what has Silly got up his sleeve here to try and bring it back? It's a great start from Oma. That Water Urshifu now with the 2 times attack is looking awfully scary. As you can see in that team of 6, he does have Metagross and Aerodactyl as we expected, along with Chandelure and the Amoonguss as well. Both coaches just deciding what they want to do. If I remember correctly, this was mostly Silly deciding how he wanted to play this, because I think this is going to be a difficult one to play around. You know, potentially if that Mr. Rhyme has an ally switch, you can maybe get something going with the Excadrill. But we'll really have to see. That comes out this time. So Mr. Rhyme and Hitmontop basically just having a dance-off at this point. You know, Mr. Rhyme tapping those feet, little tap dancer with a little hat, Hitmontop just jiving away. I honestly liked Hitmontop better when it had the spinny top animation. I do love the little jig, but you know, when it was spinning on its head, that was peak Hitmontop though. We've not really seen Omi use too much of the Water Rush, which is quite surprising really. I think it could work well in quite a lot of matchups, but not really seen too much of it. But of course, could work really well going into the playoffs. This is going to be the excitement of playoffs. Of course, we're going to have 8 teams all playing each other. A lot of these coaches have never played each other before. They've not even played each other this season because they've been split by the East and West division. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, these teams feel each other out. You know, I think there's going to be, as we said, you know, obviously Miami Heat and Miami Heat and Toast Belgrade are playing each other. Latvian has played Wio twice. Wio beat him on both occasions last season, so there could be a few games like that. But because we've got 2 new guys that have made the playoffs in the East Division, it's going to mean by default there's going to be a few first time matchups. As Excadrill swaps out, in comes the Bolton disc. Is it going to take that G-Max 1 rapid flow? No, it is not. Bolton gets absolutely slapped around. Whereas comeback comes out from the Hitmontop. Is going to swap out with that eject pop, but does some really good damage to Mr. Rhyme. As now Excadrill's going to step back in. Eshu's G-Max is going to end. Now in comes the Aerodactyl. There's the Shadow Ball from the Mr. Rhyme, but it's not really doing very much to that Urshifu. And that was a great couple of times there from Oma, as now in comes the Excadrill with the Mold Breaker ability. We'd expect Silly to go for its Dynamax now, but you know, I think Oma can pretty much confirm this by just letting Aerodactyl get a Tailwind up and, you know, ensuring that Urshifu goes fast. That Surging Strikes are going to hit really, really hard, even for a Reflect. Excadrill, there you go, it goes for its Dynamax there. The Tailwind from the Aerodactyl Surging Strikes into the Mr. Rhyme, though, takes care of that. And what is Silly going to do? There's a Max Quake into the Water Urshifu that doesn't quite take it out. Aerodactyl swaps out, in comes the Hitmontop, drops the attack, but Whitehair does proper. There's the Surging Strikes, there's 1, there's 2, and Excadrill's taken out, and Oma takes game number 1 with a 4-0. Terrible start there from the Long Island Goomies, not what you want when it's such a do or die game. And it's now all comes down to this: can Silly make playoffs? Can he get himself back into this match? Or does Oma confirm playoffs with a 2-0 and starts out with this different duo, Hitmontop and Aerodactyl, and Silly goes for the Excadrill and the Boltund. This time round, Intim goes from the Hitmontop. Whitehair is going to return those stats normal for Excadrill, so good item choice there from Silly. You'd expect very much here a Fake Out and a Tailwind to go off from that Aerodactyl, and with no Fake Out on the side of Silly, is going to find it buried at the top. There is the Dynamax. The Excadrill Fake Out comes out into the Boltund. Gets the flinch. There's the Tailwind from Aerodactyl. Steel Spike into the Aerodactyl. Takes it down to its Sash. So it keeps Aerodactyl kicking around as well. And that Fake Out ensuring that Bolton doesn't get any shenanigans going. You would very much expect that Oma is going to, you know, potentially swap, just straight swap one of these Mons out. There it goes, Hitmontop does swap out, in comes the Metagross. Bulldovers is going to put that Weakness Policy and drop the speeds of all the Mons. And instead, Policy is put on the Metagross with no Dynamax. There is the Volt Switch. It's going to take out the Aerodactyl, so Bottom's going to be able to switch out, get its stats reset. And you would expect Excadrill is going to hit straight into that Metagross slot. In comes the Dark Urshifu. There's the Max Quake, takes care of Metagross, and it is now a 4v2. Great start there from Silly, as now Water Urshifu and the Hitmontop swap in, so Intim goes off. Obviously Whitehair already procs, that's going to drop the attack on Excadrill and Dark Urshifu. But Oma still has access to his water, to his G-Max, so it might look like a sticky situation, but Oma might have potentially played this one really well. It's sacked off his Metagross, but it's going to enable Dark Urshifu. I keep calling it Dark Urshifu. It's going to enable the Water Urshifu to go for his G-Max. And it proved in the first game just how strong it was against, you know, the Dark Urshifu and against Excadrill. turn number 3. As advantage, Silly's made a good start, but does he have something to take care of that water issue? Tailwind still up for Orma. There's the G-Max rapid flow into that extra. It gets a crit as well and takes it out. And now Dark Ash with Aldrin. There's the course combat from the him on top, and that all caused the Dark Ash as well. And all of a sudden, the 10 before is now 2v2. One more turn of Tailwind to go, and this is a disaster for Silly. All of a sudden, it is turned right on its head. Water Eshru putting in the work again for Orma. And this is it now. No D-Max for the Silly. 2 more turns of the G-Max for Orma. Obviously him on top not swapping out because he only has the 2 mons. Fake out comes out from the Mr. Rhyme. That's a good stuff there from Rapid Flow. Is going to take out the Bolton. So now Mr. Rhyme has it all to do. This is going to be game. Silly's playoff chances go down the drain as quickly as they were there. Really awful to see. Silly not securing playoffs, unfortunately. We won't see him back for playoffs this season, but he will be back next season. Helping Hand comes out from the hip on top. There is the Rapid Flow into the Mr. Rhyme. Mr. Rhyme just about hanging on from that. There's the Shadow Ball into the hip on top as Eshru's G-Max does end. But it doesn't matter. Orma's going to take this one 2-0. And oh man. Congrats though to Orma. There's a Sucker Punch from the hip on top. He takes the game 2-0. Great stuff there from Orma. Just Water Eshru was so strong for him in that game. You know, full credit to him. He identified, you know, what Silly was going to be able to bring to beat out that Metagross duo. Brought something Silly wasn't expecting, and it just absolutely slapped him with that G-Max Eshru Water. And yeah, Orma confirms himself for player. So we have our 3rd playoff entrant for the West Division. Commiseration to Silly. As I said, I'm sure he will be back next season to give it another go. You know, it's not quite worked out for him this season. Did get the 2 wins, but not able to sort of continue that momentum of winning in week 1 and get a little run put together. You know, went on that little losing streak, and I think that's just hurt him a little bit too much in the end. But, you know, with the West Division being so close, he still had every chance. But, you know, these things happen. You've got to try and go for it, and it didn't quite work out. And I said, GG's to Orma. Fully there on merit. Orma's played very well in his first season in the British Pokemon League. It's going to be exciting to see what he can do in playoffs. But on to our final game of the week. Saving the best till last. It is 200 Candies taking on the Slithering Sceptiles. And just like the game before, this is do or die for both teams. Candies gets the win. He confirms himself for playoffs. If Jabba gets the win, we move on to week 10 to find out our final playoff spot. Obviously, Candies has been bringing a little bit of a little bit of everything so far. You know, we saw the Sleep Joe and the Fake Out Joe come quite a few times of like Torracat and Jinx and the Butterfly in recent weeks, but has been switching up. We've seen Dark Eshru quite a few times. You know, has been really strong. You know, against the likes of Orma, like we mentioned earlier. You know, and last week the likes of the Dragapult, you know, and the Porygon 2 proving really strong against Silly's duo as well. Dragapult has just been an MVP for Candies this season. You know, it's got so many different modes it can run. Physical attacking mode has been really good for Candies, and obviously it does get access to that beat up, can get that Terrakion going as well. And yeah, you know, you can't say enough good things about the Dragapult. We knew how good it was last season. Candies has really been able to utilise it really well. Haven't seen too much of the G-Max Snorlax from Candies, but that's not to say he won't bring it. You know, if used correctly, that Snorlax can be such a beast. It can hit super hard. And of course, don't count out the Chansey Shuckle duo as well. You know, if Jabba isn't able to stop that from going off, Chansey can really just wreck house and you just can't hit it. Over on the side of Jabba then, Jabba's losing run has been continuing in recent weeks. He's on a 6-game losing streak. Has not really been able to get it going with this, with the new pickups that he made during the mid-season. But you know, if played right, you know, I definitely think it could work. You know, the Focus Sash on the Sceptile hasn't quite worked out for him in recent weeks. You know, and Dynamaxing that on 1%, you know, has really worked against him. But you know, that's not to say he can't get the win here. You know, he's played reasonably well in recent weeks. You know, there's flashes of brilliance, but you know, this could be the one. Jabba's got to really pull out all the stops to try and get the win here. Not really seen G-Max Toxtricity since week 6. You know, it got hit real hard against Bulu boys, and you know, it's just sort of cowered into hiding essentially. But don't count out that Arcanine as well. You know, obviously he has access to Intimidate and Justified as well. With that Weavile, can set up that Justified with a beat up, and Low Pony as well with the likes of After You. And Fake Out can be just a good one just to sort of control the field, get speed control, And yeah, it's just an all-round decent one. But anyways, without further ado, let's get our final game of Week 9. It is 200 Candy versus the Slithering Sceptiles. Sceptiles leading out the line with Coco and Arcanine, and Candy's leading the line with the Snorlax and Butterfree. So changing it up here. Electric Turn goes up, so obviously can't go for the sleep. Rage Powder comes off. Volt Switch is going to take out that Butterfree. So good start there from Jabba, but in comes the Weavile. Gets the defense buff on the Arcanine as well with the Electricity. Agility goes off for the Arcanine, and Belly Drum goes off for the Snorlax. So we've seen this a few times from Candies, but not with the Custap Berry that you're accustomed to seeing, but there is the Custap Berry, and 4 times attack now from that Belly Drum. Snorlax goes for G-Max. Beetle comes out from the Weavile into that justified Arcanine, but that Custap Berry is already procced, so could this be the end of Arcanine? He's not gone for the Dynamax as Porygon 2 is swapped in. There's a Max Quake into the Arcanine, and it all causes it absolutely no problem. Snorlax with a great start, and Trick Room now goes up. Weavile still on the field. Torchic comes out in the Follow Me. There's the Focus Blast from the Weavile, but it's barely tickling the Snorlax. Hailstorm is going to take out that Torchic, and straight away on turn 3, just absolutely no chance there from Jabba, just unable to stop the Snorlax as Coco now swaps in. Already knows he has a Max Quake. Coco is just going to get annihilated by the Snorlax. Snorlax just getting kill by kill. Tri-Attack is going to take care of the Weavile, and Candies is going to take game number 1 very, very comfortably, and is putting the whole league on notice with that setup. You know, it can be so difficult to stop that Custap Berry, and with the G-Max replenish, it can just keep going. Ice Shard comes out from the Weavile, and this time it's Policy on the Sceptile. Focus Blast comes out, but that doesn't quite take out Snorlax. Pollenpuff from the Butterfree, that takes Snorlax back up to a healthy amount of HP, gets the Belly Drum off, 4 times attack, and Jabba knows what's coming now. Custap Berry goes off. Unburden has proc from the Sceptile, but that's not going to matter because Custap Berry allows you to move first in your priority bracket. Ice Shard not able to take care of the Butterfree, and G-Max replenish is going to Oko that Sceptile, gets him the Berry back, and Pollenpuff is going to give Snorlax that HP back as in comes Coco now to set up that Surge. Custap Berry gets eaten again. That means it's going to go first. Focus Blast though, the Quick Claw not doing it. No, Quake is going to take out the Coco, and once again is a rinse and repeat of game number 1. Snorlax just wrecking house. Heat Wave, it's going to miss the Butterfree, crucially not going to do much to Snorlax. It is going to get the burn, but I don't think it's going to matter too much while still got his G-Max. Pollenpuff is going to give Snorlax a healthy amount of HP back. There's the Hailstorm into the Torchic again. It is exactly like game number 1. Jabba with absolutely no answer to this thing with the Belly Drum. The Snorlax G-Max now does end. Focus Blast does miss. There's the Pollenpuff into the Weavile. That takes care of it. And Candies takes game number 2. And Jabba's playoff stream ends with it. Congratulations to Candies, our final team in the British Pokemon League playoffs. Takes 3rd place going into week number 10. Obviously, there's still, it's still not decided between Oma and Candies going into week 10 who's going to finish 3rd and 4th, but has confirmed herself for playoffs. As I said about Silly, commiserations to Jabba. That losing run does continue, unfortunately, and unable to make playoffs in his debut season. But there's been quite a few highlights for Jabba. I think he's played, as I said, reasonably well this season. Just not quite got it right with the Mons after the mid-season break. But as I said, like Silly, like Dogsy, like Dave, he will be back next season with a bang, I'm sure. And it'll be exciting to see what he can do in Season 3. But anyways, that is going to do for our Week 9 games. We're going to take a look now at the league table as we move on into our final week before playoffs. This is what it all comes down to. This is where it gets interesting. As you can see there in the East Division, Inglorious Earth is on that 7-2 record with a +9, and South Croydon Saws in 2nd place, closely following behind. As we said earlier, if Chris is able to get the win and Aaron loses out to Dave, then Chris is going to win the East Division regular season title. But if Aaron wins by any scoreline, it doesn't matter what Chris does, Aaron is going to take the title and first seed going into playoffs. Draco, as I said, unable now to finish in that top spot, but can still bag himself that 2nd place and 2nd seed going into playoffs. If nothing else, the lowest he can finish is 3rd. So Draco, as he said, he wanted to make playoffs, he's managed it, and he's had a very, very successful season. I think shouldn't be too downhearted about losing that unbeaten streak. He's done very, very well and can be very proud of his run. Toast-Up Belgrade look like they're going to get into playoffs by the skin of their teeth. Obviously, if Dave loses out next week, it's not going to matter. But if he wins and Wheel loses out next week, then that is going to come down to head-to-head. That is very squeaky bum time. We are just about getting into playoffs, but of course he is going to be playing Miami Heat in that first round. Down at the bottom then, Dave confirms himself for 5th place in the East Division this season. As I said, he's had a pretty solid time of it. has had a really good second half of the season. You know, I think very unfortunate to not make playoffs, so it'll be exciting to see him back. Dogsy, the losing streak does continue, has one more match to try and get a win, end that brutal run of 8 losses. We'll see what Dogsy do. Over in the West Division then, Miami Heat, still 9-0, still unbeaten, but that 100% record is gone after losing out that game to 1 to the Bulu Boys. Bulu Boys' unbeaten streak, also like Celtic Celebies, their unbeaten run it does end, but Bulu Boys already confirmed for that second spot. So it's just a case of is Bulu Boys going to be playing South Croydon Saws, or are they going to be playing Celtic Celebies? We will certainly see next week. Candies then keeps himself that third place and has, as we said, confirmed the playoffs along with Oma's California Bastiodons, both on the 4-5 record of -1. So it is down to head-to-head that Candies leads that one. If Candies is able to win this week, then he confirms himself for third place, regardless of what Oma does. If he does lose out and Oma gets the win, then Oma will jump him into third place, but we will see what happens. Down there in 5th and 6th, as you said, Goomys and Sceptiles, both unable now to make playoffs, and it's just a matter of who is going to finish 5th or 6th, just like we saw in the East Division. But our final week of fixtures then, week number 10, there you go, you can see all the fixtures laid out. We started Season 2 all the way back on the 5th of June. Here we are going into this week, the 14th of August, and here's our final games then. So, Bulu Boys taking on 200 Candies. Said Candies going to be trying to solidify that third spot, that third seed into playoffs. Miami Heat take on California Bastiodons. See, got the advantage over Oma last time back, all the way back in week 1. So only right that they play each other in week 10. And Jabba and Goomys play each other to see who finishes 5th, see who finishes 6th over in the West Division. In the East Division then, can Dave play spoiler here against the Surfers? Can he spoil the party for Aaron, or will Aaron continue on his run of 2-game wins and get himself that East Division regular season title? In the second game, it is Tulsa Belgrade versus Celtic Celebies. See, Draco can still get in that second spot, so very much just playing for position, but we are going to need that win after 2 losses in a row. And finally, down the bottom there, Shadow Kings versus South Croydon Saws. Obviously, Dogsy going to have one last hurrah at trying to end that rotten losing streak, and Crizzle, you know, knows he's got to win that game by 2-0 and hope that Aaron loses out to the Newcastle Thunderers to bag himself the regular season title, and as we said, that first seed into playoffs. Of course, first seed will play 4th seed in that first round, but we don't need to talk about playoffs yet. We've still got 2 weeks until that, but it's coming ever closer. The playoff show will be in 2 weeks' time, but next week we will be back for the Week 10 show next Monday at the same time of 8 o'clock. I say 8 o'clock, it might be a little bit late, or it may not be on the Monday. I am moving next Monday, so things are going to be a little bit all up in the air, so we'll certainly see what happens, but keep an eye on the socials. I'll let you all know. But thank you all very much for turning up this week, as you do every week. I love you all guys a lot. I have been your host, Matt Starr. I will see you all next Monday. Mwah!